Good morning and welcome to Northern Light Spiritual Center, a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Light Spiritual Center offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. We at Northern Light Spiritual Center acknowledge our presence here on traditional and unceded ancestral lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Salish peoples. These people are still here, and we join with them in how they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of Indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room, by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room. And now's it. Turn this on.
Technical things. And now's the time we take to get centered, but with a short meditation. And I invite you each to find that spot, wherever you are, whatever kind of chair, sofa, bed, floor where you're sitting, and just get as comfortable as possible. We're going to take in a couple of nice deep breaths. Breathe in. And release. Another deep breath in. And release. And let's do one more. Breath in. And release. And releasing everything that has come before this very moment. All the worries, the woes, the anxiousness, anything that has gotten on our way. And just allow them to be released. And you can pick them up later if you choose. So finding yourself centered in the divine. I pose this being the last Sunday of November, asking that you find a time when you were given something. Could be a present of sorts, could be anything. And when you receive that gift, try to remember how that felt. How you felt about that gift. Was it excited? Was it disappointed? Now remember a time when you were given exactly what you wanted. Exactly what you wanted, what you had asked for. And what were the feelings then? Was that great excitement? Or was it disappointment? And now imagine a time when you gave someone a gift. How did that make you feel when they opened that gift? Did you feel joy watching them open it? And which do you prefer, to be the giver or the receiver? The receiver or the giver? Which is your preference? And why? Ask yourself why. And in the giving and the receiving, ours one, because the giver also receives. And the receiver also gives. It's a two-way street. You give and you receive when you give. And so in this month of gratitude, just ask yourself, am I a gracious giver? And am I a gracious receiver? Because in order to be one, you have to be the other. And so I just invite you to hold that in thought. And the next time you give something or receive something, notice how you react. So I invite you now to put on your toes and fingers and come back to your space. sitting there thinking about it.
Well, good morning, all.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here, or there, or wherever you happen to be. We're going to do our affirmation. And if you feel so moved, please stand and join me. And as always, we're going to say it with power. So it's a call and response. I will say a line, and you will say it back. With power, with conviction, with knowing, with just all that you have. Here we go. God is the only power in my life.
God is the only power in my life.
Nothing from without
Nothing from without
can touch the perfect life
can touch the perfect life
of God within me.
of God within me.
No past experience
No past experience
has power over me.
has power over me.
I am a perfect child of God,
I am a perfect child of God,
and nothing that anyone has ever done or said
and nothing that anyone has ever done or said
can interfere with my divine inheritance.
can interfere with my divine inheritance.
The power of God
The power of God
is greater than any circumstance in my life.
is greater than any circumstance in my life.
The strength of God
The strength of God
is mine to use.
is mine to use.
Turning away from all feelings of inadequacy,
Turning away from all feelings of inadequacy,
I discover that all I need is within me now.
I discover that all that I need is within me now.
As I forgive the past,
As I forgive the past,
and I do forgive the past,
and I do forgive the past,
I find that I have nothing to be sorry for
I find that I have nothing to be sorry for
and nothing to run away from.
and nothing to run away from.
Casting off the old me,
Casting off the old me,
I discover my true self.
I discover my true self.
And we're going to point to ourselves in these I statements. I take dominion in my life.
I take dominion in my life.
Old habits have no power over me.
Old habits have no power over me.
Conditions have no power over me.
Conditions have no power over me.
Personalities have no power over me.
Personalities have no power over me.
Okay, that was a little weak. I felt the energy shift a little bit. We're going to say that one more time. Personalities have no power over me.
Personalities have no power over me.
I take dominion.
I take dominion.
I am whole.
I am whole.
I am free.
I am free.
I am complete.
I am complete
Now and forevermore.
now and forevermore.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Our reading for today is an article by Leslie Brooks, and it's called "The Benefits of Both the Giver and the Receiver: Shedding Light on This Unsung Success Factor." I like to give compliments. My favorite is complimenting a total stranger. The joy and surprise on the person's face is everything. It's like they can't believe an absolute stranger would notice them in the first place. They aren't the only ones smiling after one of those encounters. I walk away grinning too. I had a moment like that with a stranger at the office recently. Here's what happened. The frown on this lady's face was hard as a brick wall. The creases she held between her eyebrows were flexing. I was about to say hello when images of Medusa's glare turning me into stone popped into my head. Her outfit was cute though, so I decided to try my luck. If necessary, I figured I could turn away and fast enough to escape her piercing gaze. I went for it. Love your outfit. It's super cute. She turned to look at me. There were no snakes sprouting from her head, and I was still able to move. Instead, she flashed a smile, and the creases between her eyes vanished. Oh, thank you so much. You made my day. We introduced ourselves, said a few more words, and that was it. Now, anytime she sees me, I get a cheerful smile and a happy hello. That's the power of compliments. Giving compliments makes everyone better. Do you think giving compliments is a one-way street? Think it's only helpful to the person on the receiving end? Well, that's where you're wrong. Sharing compliments benefits everyone. It has the potential to spread like a wave to another giver and a receiver encounter. Let me explain. 1. Compliments build confidence. The most obvious benefit to others is the confidence it builds. When you show that you see value in someone, it helps them recognize the value within themselves. It validates them and gives them the courage to share that value. 2. Compliments spark creativity. Let's say you compliment a coworker or employee on a job well done, or for an idea they came up with. First point is, your willingness to offer praise encourages them to share more. The person provides an idea that resolves a key issue for your organization. And third, those ideas make the work environment operate better and saves the company money. That solution could have stayed locked away in their mind if you didn't open the door for sharing. All that potential for success could have been lost. Now, compliments build trust. Let's stick with the employee at the job idea for a minute. The positive response to the person's ideas empowers others to share theirs as well. Now you're reaping the reward of unlocking a goldmine of ideas that will take your organization to a next level. Think about it. All the progress unlocked with just one compliment. Compliments are rewards. Who doesn't like getting an unexpected prize, right? Remember the Oprah Winfrey, you get the car phenomenon? A professor from the National Institute of Psychological Sciences claims that receiving a compliment can produce the same effect in your brain as receiving money. Your compliment may not induce screams, googly eyes, or tear-streamed faces that Oprah received, but it can produce a kick of excitement and joy that the human brain loves. 4. Compliments benefit the giver. I can live for 2 months on a good compliment, said Mark Twain. Yes, compliments really do make a positive impact on the giver too. 1, you'll feel better because the positive impact you have on others. 2, you'll increase your confidence because you got out of your own comfort zone. 3, you'll experience growth because you're practicing thinking on your feet. All this leads to a more positive mindset about yourself and others too. Number 5, compliments benefit the universe. Compliments create a ripple of kindness and encouragement. This spreads to everyone you meet and beyond. This is known as the paying it forward. When you pay attention to the positive attitudes in others, it promotes selflessness. That selflessness can take on a life of its own as it promotes selflessness in thinking in others. The kindness and compliments spread far beyond one person you complimented. And 6, compliments increase intelligence. Compliments reinforce learning and positive behavior. It does this by triggering an "I want to do this again so I can feel this again" response. Some studies also show that compliments impact memory, motivation, and other cognitive functions. I found that the joy of giving has a little something extra to it. Once you experience it, you'll give and receive compliments more than ever before. Giving compliments is one of my happiest habits. I practice it regularly. It costs me nothing, but the value felt by both the giver and the receiver is priceless. And so it is.
Okay, here's our final rendition of this month's chant. I am the way that life shows up. I am the way that joy shows up. I am the way that light shows up. I am the way wisdom shows up. The divine expresses in me. The divine expresses through me. The divine expresses as me. Greater good, greater justice arise. So please join me as the melody becomes familiar. I am the way that life shows up. I am the way that joy shows up. I am the way that light shows up. I am the way wisdom shows up. The divine express is in me. The divine express is through me. The divine express is as me. Greater good, greater justice arise. Now you are the way that life shows up. You are the way that joy shows up. You are the way that light shows up. You are the way wisdom shows up. The divine express is in you. The divine express is through you. The divine express is as you. Greater good, greater justice arise. Now we are the way that life shows up. We are the way that joy shows up. We are the way that light shows up. We are the way wisdom shows up. The divine express is in us. The divine express is through us. The divine express is as us. Greater good, greater justice arise. Now the final verse, back to I. I am the way that life shows up. I am the way that joy shows up. I am the way that light shows up. I am the way wisdom shows up. The divine express is in me. The divine express is through me. The divine express is as me. Greater good, greater justice arise. Thank you.
here.
Yeah. And now our guest speaker, the practitioner extraordinaire, Stephanie Scranton.
Well, thank you, Reverend Mykal. Put that over there. Well, good morning, all.
Good morning.
Well, that was I Thank You by Ricky Byers. It's a really wonderful song. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I played it a lot this week. So I want to start this morning by telling you a little story. And this is a story I'm sure you've all heard, but it warrants, I think, another listen to. I'm going to take a little bit of creative license with it. It's still the same story, but I may embellish it just a bit. So, and I'm probably going to I'm going to be more neutral with the genders because, of course, when it was written, it was more male-oriented. Okay, so here we go. So there was a person that was on top of the house because the whole area was flooding. Okay, we all kind of know this story. Okay, so they're on top of the house, and they're just praying to be saved. And so along comes a rowboat, and the person says, "Jump on in. I'll save you." And the person on the house says, "No, thank you. You know, I'm praying to God. I have faith. God's going to save me." And the person's like, "Well, okay." And they roll on off. Along comes a motorboat. And the person's like, "Come on in. You know, I'll save you." Person on the house is now saying, "Well, you know, I have faith. I have faith in God. I've been praying. So, no, thank you." Person says, "Okay," and leaves. Along comes a helicopter. And the person's like, "I'm going to throw you down a ladder. Just climb on up. I'll save you." The person on the house is saying, "No, thank you. I've been praying to God. I have faith. God's going to save me." Person's like, "Well, okay." And they fly off. Well, eventually what happened, that the flood got so bad that the person ended up drowning. So, they now are in heaven. And they're like, "You know what? I can't wait to talk to God. I got a few things I need to say." So, in their space, talking to God, and they're like, "God, I got a few things to say. I'm a little upset with you here because I've been this wonderful person. I've been doing all that I'm supposed to do. I was praying that you come and save me." And God's like, "Well, I sent you a rowboat. I sent you a motorboat. I sent you a helicopter. What else did you want me to do?" That story, I think, has a lot of things that we can take from it. What I want us to take from it today is about being that joyful receiver. Okay? Being able to see what is being given to us, the gifts that are being given to us, and joyfully receiving them. Now, we talk about giving and receiving, and I think we talk a lot more about giving than we do about receiving. And I don't know about you, but I grew up hearing it is better to give than receive. Anybody else hear that? Okay? And so, you know, it's like it's good to give. Receiving, you know, it's nice. But I want us to talk about being a joyful receiver. And when I talk about joyful receiver, that's being a receiver without all the stuff that can come with the receiving. Meaning that feeling of, I need to reciprocate. That feeling of entitlement where, yeah, you're supposed to give to me. Anybody had that situation where, folks, yeah, you're supposed to. I'm talking about that place of able to be receiving from a joyful place, from a place of exhilaration. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. When one is a joyful receiver, one is able to receive from a place of absolute bliss. Who doesn't like to be in bliss? I mean, I like to be in bliss. And being in that place of just being in the yumminess of the gift. When we are not that joyful receiver, we're blocking our good. We're blocking that flow. Think about when water is flowing. And when you put something in place of it, it blocks it off. It can't flow anymore. And so that's how life is. God is constantly giving. And if you don't believe me, think about your breath. That breath is something that God is constantly giving. Because I don't know about you, but I know that I would not be here if I didn't have breath. If I didn't have air to breathe. Anybody kind of contradicting, not agreeing with me? Okay, good.
We get in that helicopter with you there.
Right, you're getting in the helicopter. Thank
I'm
you.
getting a robot.
We need the breath. So the universe is constantly providing us these gifts. And we live in this abundant universe, and God wants us to have everything. Think about God from that standpoint of giving, that there are storerooms of good just for you. Your name is on the door. How are you going to leave that storeroom? Is that storeroom going to be cleared out because you're accepted all the good, or is the storeroom going to be practically full? How are you wanting to live your life? When one is in a place of being a joyful receiver, one is being accepting and open. This posture is one of openness. I'm open. When one is in a position of not being a joyful giver, one is being closed and restricted, so you're blocking stuff. So it's more of this, how receptive is this kind of feeling? Do I look like I'm open? I don't feel very open. So we want to be this joyful. I just want to receive and be in this joyful place. Now, I have a short checklist that I want us to go through and kind of see how you are on the checklist. It only has 4 items. Okay. It's short. So the first one, and Reverend Mykal not just hit upon it, he was all up in it. And that is, how well do you take compliments? So he really kind of talked more about giving the compliments, where a lot of us are it's a lot easier for us to give than for us to receive, because let's face it, we were taught that. But how well do you take compliments? Are you in this place of, yeah, baby, that's true, thank you very much? Or are you in this place of wanting to argue with the person about the compliment? Or are you in this place of, you give this weak kind of, thank you. But in your mind, you're going through all the ways that person's wrong. that's not a joyful receiver. Okay. Our next thing on the checklist is how well do you receive unexpected gifts? Are you that person that's like, hey, oh my God, this was great? Or are you that person that's like, I wonder why they gave that to me? Little suspect of this. Or are you that person that's like, which one?
Somebody's waiting.
Okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Oh, I see. It's real easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you.
If you know.
I received that.
Graciously.
I graciously received that. Great. Okay.
I just got noticed. So.
You just got notes. Thank you very much. Okay. So, welcome. So, we're talking about being a joyful receiver, and we're going through our checklist. So, the first one was about receiving compliments. Okay. The second one is how well do you accept unexpected gifts? Now, the expected gifts are easy, because there's this expectation that I'm going to get this gift. But an unexpected gift kind of puts us in a place of, I don't know. And how easily do you accept those? Are you that joyful receiver where you're like excited about this? Oh my God. Or are you that person that's like suspect, wondering what's going on? Maybe you don't even want to accept the gift. Or maybe, and I feel like this is the worst part of it, is that you're thinking about, now I owe them something. I now have to give them a gift. And we're not talking about just material gifts. We can talk about any kind of gift that's unexpected. Okay? Because the universe is always giving us gifts, right? And how does the universe work? The universe, God works through people. That's one of the big ways that God works. God works through people. So when you're getting this unexpected gift and you're like, no, I'm sorry. I can't accept that. And I'm not talking about that creepy man that's giving you a gift that that's stalking you. I'm not talking about that person. I'm talking about this loved one, someone that's special in your life that is giving you a gift. Yeah, we're not talking about the creeper. Okay, number 3, the third thing on our checklist is, how well do you accept help? And I know there are a few people that are in the room, and there are not many of us in the room, that have a hard time accepting help. Okay. So are you that person that says, yes, thank you? Or are you that person that is like, oh, no, thank you, I'll do it myself? There's a movie named Almost Christmas, and there's a Gabrielle Union character in the movie. There's one of many children in this family. And she feels like she has not lived up to the expectation of the family and of herself. And so you find her in these situations where she's being offered help, but she's not taking the help. So there's a scene where she has this huge suitcase and she has to go up these stairs, and the guy next door that she used to like, but is now at the house, and he wants to help her bring the suitcase up. But she is like, nope, I can do it myself. I don't need your help, basically. And so you see her struggling to pull this suitcase up the stairs. How many of us are struggling, but we're like, oh, no, I can do it myself. I'm good. Okay, so that's number 3 on our checklist. Number 4, when you think about those times where God is giving you everything that you want. You ever have those dreams where God is giving you everything that you want? Are you in this place of, yeah, God, bring it on? Or are you in a place of, I don't know if I'm going to get that. I don't know if I feel deserving of that. And so perhaps I just maybe shouldn't want that. Because if I don't get it, and I think I want it, and I think I'm going to get it, and I don't get it, I'm going to be real disappointed. So I'd rather not even want it. Okay? So how are you doing on that checklist? Only 4 things.
Three or four, I do okay.
3 or 4. Okay, cool. So if you're anywhere on that checklist, if you weren't that, oh my God, this is great, on any of the 4 items, you might want to listen on. And if you were 4 for 4, that's great. I'm happy for you. And continue doing the good work. But maybe you know somebody that needs some help. So you might be able to pass on a few of these tidbits to them. So we know we live in a universe where God is always providing. We know this. So why are we not being these joyful receivers all the time? Well, one of the ways I'm thinking of is that sometimes life just kind of gets in the way. I think that, and as a child, when you see children, and I like to listen to children, especially like when they're on the playground, there's this joy that they have. You've heard that laughing and that zeal that the children have. I mean, and it's an infectious kind of laugh. And they're excited about everything, not just about the big things, as you mentioned, the Oprah getting the car, giving the cars away or whatever, those gifts. I think they'd probably be less excited about that than if they got the sticker or a balloon from the store. There's this joy that they feel, and it's unconditional. They are happy about it. Think about the last time you were like that child. In the Bible, they talk about we have to become like little children. And part of what they're saying is you got to have that childlike innocence, that childlike excitement about life. Because life is always given to you, but how are you receiving? Are you that joyful receiver? I think back to when I worked at Eddie Bauer. We had an internship program for the first time. And the interns had to do a big group project at the end of their internship. And so they all got up there and the projects were excellent. And I remember one of my coworkers saying, oh my God, I feel so jaded. And I thought to myself, I feel jaded too, because they were so excited about being in this environment, doing this work, did these projects, and I'm thinking about, okay, I'm just trying to get to Friday so I can go home and not have to be back at this place until the latest possible time on Monday. And the excitement had gone. And there's plenty, I feel like the universe is giving me and trying to give to me if I just open to it. We're talking about being a joyful receiver. Okay? So, Ricky Byers in the song we heard, most of us heard, she talks about, there's a line in there that says, open my time-blinded eyes to see the glorious possibilities. And so we think about the time-blinded eyes. That's when we're talking about how life gets in the way. It just blinds us from our good. And the way that it blinds us is, there's that feeling of, anyone ever felt not deserving? I definitely, not deserving definitely gets in the way of being a joyful receiver. And how do we get to that way of being a not deserving? A lot of it happened, in your house. Well, at least in my house sometimes. It's like not feeling deserving of the good. Anyone had this situation? I remember when I would go, we'd go to someone's house. And it was usually my mother that was the culprit here. And someone would ask me, would you like a cookie or something to eat or whatever? And on the tip of my tongue, that yes is getting ready to jump off my lips. And my mother would say, oh, no, thank you, she's fine. And I'm just like, what just happened here? And so sometimes we've learned to be that we're not supposed to receive. That it's better to give than it is to receive. What's that?
Oh, I got it. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Sometimes we get into this place of being suspect. We've taught to be suspicious about givers, people, those givers. And there's some strings attached to that gift. So I'm just not going to accept it because I don't want to have to deal with those strings. And so we block ourselves. And one of the things we know, and Reverend Mykal talked about it in his reading, is that in order for there to be a giver, there has to be a receiver. You can't have one without the other. We live in a reciprocal universe. We have the yin and the yang, the up and the down, the in and the out. We need both sides. And so life gets in the way, and we've learned not to be deserving. We learn not to be accepting. We've learned not to be that joyful receiver. Another thing that gets in the way is that giving is more of a control, and I'm not saying giving's bad, but you're in control when you give. When you're a receiver, you're more in a vulnerable place. And sometimes we just don't like to be vulnerable. We don't like to open ourselves up. And so we let stuff get in the way. Life gets in the way. Our past experiences, and we talked about it in the affirmation, past experiences have no power over me. But sometimes they do. And we let them get in the way. So, we're talking about being a joyful receiver. So how do we get that? How do we flex that joyful receiver muscle? How do we allow ourselves to be in this place of just being, oh, this, as opposed to this? Well, one of the ways that I've thought about is saying yes. Saying yes to what is being given. And recognizing when we're being given something. In the little story that I started off with, this person didn't recognize that this was God. For some reason, I think they wanted God to jump out of the sky. And we know that God's not in the sky, but some of us think that God is in the sky. To swoop the person up and take them to safety. But God works through people. And so God, we need to say yes to God, because God is always saying yes to us. God has never said no. God has never said, okay, well, I need for you to give me this so I can give you air to breathe. God is always giving. God is always saying yes. So we're going to say yes to God. Ricky in the song says, I can say yes and move out the way and give my God its full sway. Meaning you're going to let God just guide and lead. And you're going to say yes. So if God says yes, says go right, and you're like, well, but I want to go left because where I'm going is over there. But God's like, no, go right. You're going to say yes. There's a movie, I don't know if you ever saw it. Reverend Vaughn and I, we love our movies. Called Yes Man with Jim Carrey. Anybody see it? And in that, he feels that he has to say yes to everything. Now, it's kind of comical, some of the stuff he gets into from saying yes. But the lesson that he receives at the end is that when I'm in this open and receptive position, stuff just flows. It gets good. Life is good. When I close myself off, then life is kind of restricted and I don't get those things that I want. Okay? So that's one of the ways we're going to say yes. And now you know I'm revving you up for the homework. So think about these things as I'm saying them. Okay?
Yes.
So saying yes is one. Now the second one is absolutely homework. Okay? It's not optional. I know we're all adults, but I'm still making this not optional. And that is accepting comments. Oh, I think there's a person that wants to get in. Okay. Excuse me, I'm letting somebody in. Okay. We're accepting compliments. Okay? And we're accepting compliments from a joyful place. Okay? We're not being that critic. We're being in this open position. So let's practice. You are going to give yourself a compliment right now. And then you're going to say thank you. That's all you get to say is thank you. Now you can add in, and I like this when I was going to East Bay Church in Oakland, Reverend E had said, you can say, yes, it's true, thank you. But you don't get to go through what some of us like to do is say, well, thank you, but, you know, someone says, oh, I love that outfit. And they're like, well, yeah, I only paid $5 at Goodwill or at, and it's like they didn't ask you where you got it. They didn't ask you how much you paid for it. All they said was, I like your outfit. And so you get to respond what?
Yes, it's true. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're all going to give ourselves a compliment. And then we're going to say what? Thank you. Okay, give yourself a compliment. Out loud.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Ooh,
I have
son,
put together
love
a
the way
great
that you're
outfit.
working
I really
on
like
your
all
business.
the brown
It's how
tones
you're
together.
just being
Yes.
that person.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yes. Homework. Okay. Another way in which we can be these joyful receivers is by staying present in the moment. Okay? You ever heard that before? Being present? Yeah, we say that a lot in religious science. Being present to how you're feeling when someone pays you a compliment, when you get a gift unexpectedly. How are you feeling? Being present with that feeling, because that indication, whatever you're feeling, is going to be an indication on what's going on with you. If you're feeling excited and joyful about it, you're on the right track. If you're feeling some apprehension, you're feeling some embarrassment, you're feeling something other than the joy, the zeal, then it tells you where you might want to do some work. Okay? So that's another way where you're going to be in the present moment. Another thing that you can do to be joyful, to be a joyful receiver, is to be in gratitude. Now, we hear about gratitude all the time. This is a month that we celebrate gratitude, but we know that gratitude is a 24/7 thing. It does not take a day off. Okay? And so, being in that place of gratitude, giving thanks for what you've received. Okay? Another way in which to be a joyful receiver, to cultivate, because we're talking about being a joyful receiver, is about noticing when you're receiving a gift. Look at the gifts that you received during the day. We got a lot of them. Did anybody wake up this morning? We all did. That's a gift. Because there are some people that would not be able to answer that question. So we're going to look at the gifts that we've received throughout the day and give thanks for them. I know some of you do gratitude journals and that type of thing, where we're going to add this piece to it about looking at the gifts, because there are so many that we're receiving. Okay? Another way is to accept that you are enough. You are enough. God made you in its likeness and image. God knows that it is all that. So therefore, you must be all that. Okay? And so it's accepting that you are enough. Has anybody ever heard about the inner child? We used to have a workshop that at East Bay that it was called the Inner Child Workshop, where we really went in and looked at our inner child. Well, some of us are still operating from that inner child place. And most of us operate at some point in time from that inner child. And sometimes that inner child is wounded. Sometimes that inner child does not feel like it's enough. Sometimes that inner child needs a hug and a kiss, and it needs to know that it's loved. So we need to love that inner child, so that the inner child can, when we send that inner child out to do something, it's able to accept from a joyful place, which means that we're able to accept from that joyful place. Another way is to meditate on the fact, and it's a fact, that God has given you everything. That God has given you everything, and then journal around how you're feeling about it. If you're feeling like, hey, yes, God has given me everything, and it's giving me everything, and will continue to give me everything, and that feels good, keep it up. If you're feeling that, I don't know if I deserve that, or if I can have that, or if it's okay, it's showing you that there's some work still to do. Okay? So, we know for our homework, we're going to do what now? What's our piece of homework?
We are going to compliment ourselves, and we're going to say, yes, that's true, thank you.
Yes, and we're going to accept compliments when other people give us compliments. And I know we're okay. I know that we're in social distancing, and that we don't always, we're not always in the presence of people, but you're still going to be getting compliments. Okay? So, what's another one that folk can do? This is just a little review, since I know that everybody's so excited about doing this.
Being in gratitude.
Being in gratitude, yes, that's a good one.
well, focus on that gratitude and meditate on it, and also then you could possibly journal about it.
Lovely. Okay, so we have ways in which we can be more joyful receiver. So what I want us to do to just kind of solidify this is I want to take us through a short meditation around us being this joyful receiver. So just get comfortable where you are. And if it serves you, allow your eyes to close. And so imagine for a moment you're standing out in the middle of a big open field. You turn your face to the sun. It's warm and giving. Breathing in deeply, you open your throat and now your heart. You notice as you open your heart to the light, you suddenly become open to all. Open to all of it. All of life. Everything that the universe has to offer you. Love. The moon. The stars. It is all beautiful energy that you are one with. Imagining opening your heart and allowing it all. Be here and let this in. As the light enters your heart center, all scarcity is dissolved. All beliefs that aren't a match to your light are gone. And give yourself permission to let go of every block. In this same moment, you open yourself to receive. It dawns upon you just how much you now have to give. And so it is. And so, to anchor this, we stand in this place, constantly reminding that God is a giving God, that we are in a universe that is constantly giving, and that we are these joyful receivers. As we allow the breath to come in, as we allow the breath to be released, we are reminded that we are one with this universal presence. And it's in this oneness that we receive, and we joyfully receive all of our good. We receive all the goodness that God has just for us. We are in a state of joyful gratitude. We are in a state of love. We are in a state of peace. We are in a state of joy for all the gifts that God is pouring forth to us, through others. We are in that state of receiving. We are in the state of thanksgiving. We are in the state of being. And so for this I give thanks as I allow it to be. And I seal this by saying, Ashe. Amen. And so it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for reminding us to be that joyful receiver. I don't practice that a lot. I'm one of those suspicious people. But I believe a lot of this comes from your upbringing and how you were brought up and what was pounded into your little brain, you know? Because at that early age, I mean, I'm almost 70 and a lot of that stuff is still there. I am getting better. There is progress. So, with reminders from Stephanie and reminders from other folks, I can move on and move forward. And be a better gracious receiver with my homework. And the one thing I really loved was that God works through people. I think we forget that God works through people. And like example, like the person on the roof, you know, what else were they expecting? Like to say. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank everybody that's with us, either on Facebook, Zoom, or present here. And I want to thank everyone for the gifts that come into this center. The gifts that are given freely, graciously. And as they come in, I know I am very joyful when someone gives to the center. Because that's how we keep the lights on. That's how we keep this space a sacred space. And we can come here, whether it's virtually or in person, and we can have that feeling of safeness, that safety that we all desire, and that feeling of community. So I'm grateful for every person that has ever had to connect with Northern Lights Spiritual Center. And if you feel you would like to give or donate to Northern Lights, you just go to the website, which is northernlightspiritualcenter.com, and hit the donate button. And we will graciously receive that. So I give thanks. I give thanks for Stephanie's talk. I give thanks for everyone for who they are and who they are. So, and we'll be here next week, same time, same back station.
And invite people for Zoom to stay on.
Oh, yes, and people on Facebook, on Zoom, stay on because we have a little discussion after. An after discussion.
Which is right now.
Which is right now, yeah. Are you done? Oh.
I'm trying to press finish, but there's a thing that's in the way.